Welcome back to round 2 of season 12 of the Spec-5 World Tour. My name is Alex Andersen. Randall McGrew is not with us today, so for once, we will keep Adam's mic plugged in as he will join me from the virtual production truck and the commentary booth. And we are here tonight, and actually I can say that correctly now because this is going to be a night race for the first time, I believe, in the Spec-5 World Tour. And I mean, just circuit to Spa-Francorchamps, it's just such an amazing track loved by drivers and spectators alike, where the true essence of speed can be explored in spectacular style on a relatively safe and modern facility. This has got to be one of the greatest racetracks in the world, where we will bring up the points for you guys real fast. We can pull those up real quick. There you go, Adam. So, leading the pro class is nobody. Might be a little issue on that end. So we're still trying to work out some kinks that are happening right now. But Adam, how are you doing tonight? If
Well, I'm doing great if I could get anything to work right on my computer right now. So I apologize, guys, for all of the technical issues here. We'll try to get the points out to you after round 1 if and when we can. But we've got qualifying to cover here, Alex.
Yeah, and so far, looking at my iRacing results, it looks like Camden Hibbett currently on provisional pole with a 2:48.165. And do keep in mind, we are using the classic pit layout of this circuit. What that means, we are using the pit stop or the pit lane layout that Formula One, I think, I could be wrong, Formula One used to use, and that means that the turn 1 is Erosion Radion. And the last corner is the Losaurus hairpin. So it's just going to be very interesting, especially because the pit lane exit, you'll see, they can't go into pit lane there. This isn't the last corner. That chicane is not the last corner. You'll see Ronnie Coates heading into the final corner here, which is normally turn number 1 for this racetrack. And you also have to use the endurance pit exit, which can be very long and tricky to master. So breaking into the final corner on this layout goes Ronnie Coates, and he'll make that hairpin beautifully. Gets back to the throttle nice and gently. Now heading down what is the front straightaway and towards turn number 1. Just full throttle from here. Got to keep it right alongside this wall so you can flick it into Erosion Radion. It's at night this time, so you can see the grandstands and the houses up there all lit up. And up the hill comes Ronnie Coates, and it looks like a pretty decent run through Erosion Radion. Maybe just lost a tiny bit of speed there, just trying to keep a nice and smooth line down the straight. He will be trying to improve his lap, currently sitting at P7 right now, as Robert Hartley up to P2, Otis Adams Jr. up to P9, and now as he heads towards Lacombe, I believe this corner is called, Ronnie Coates will break down into second gear, get it nice and turn straight into the second corner, and he'll get it turned into the third straight 90-degree corner, now down towards the Rivage hairpin. This is a very tricky hairpin on this racetrack. Oftentimes, you end up going a lot faster into it than you really would want to. Ronnie Coates takes it nicely on the curve there in first gear, gets down to about 55 miles an hour, then it's back on the gas out of that corner, and now to a bit of a short shoot as he heads towards I'm going to pronounce his corner name wrong. There's not going to be a day where I get it right. I believe it's called Lafanges, Lafanes, corner.
Yeah, Lafon or something like that. Who knows? Who cares?
Lafon or something.
But this is my favorite corner.
I think this is Adam's favorite corner because it's called Puon. That's actually how you pronounce it. And then now Ronnie Coates going to head into that one corner that I can't pronounce the name of. So he will break into, I presume, second gear. It'll get a nice wide entry into the second part of this corner. There he goes, about 75 miles an hour through the apex, and now down towards the I was gonna say the southernmost part of this racetrack, but I think this might be north-south oriented on the track map. So the northernmost part of the racetrack, I'm going to assume. Yep. And now Ronnie Coates will head towards Blanchimont up into fourth gear now as the car starts to light up on the interior just a bit. Limited visibility running at night here for, I presume, the first time in this series. It's it's going to be really interesting to see how the drivers handle it, but full throttle through Blanchimont and now into what I normally would say is the last corner, except it's the second to last corner on this layout. This chicane, Ronnie Coates will dive into first gear for it, get about as low as 38 miles an hour, then it's full throttle down what is usually the front straightaway. I'm going to have some difficulty distinguishing the two as he heads past what is normally the start-finish line, and Jerry DiPiero, we're on board with right now. He was the talk of the town for the open class in practice, but currently sitting P3 behind Jose Gonzalez and last week's open class winner, Ken Copeland.
Yeah, and you know what? I've just got to do this for the stream. Let's go, Jerry. I had to do it, even though I can actually talk. You guys haven't locked me away anymore, so I can actually say that Jerry DiPiero is going to be the talk of the open class. I'd be very, very cautious of him. Still in open class, surprisingly. But, yeah, he's going to do well. But Ken Copeland doing a great job as he is now sitting in the pits. Yeah, Ken did a great job last week, and I'm still working on the points, guys. I'll get you those as soon as possible. Alex, I'm going to hand it back over to you while I do that.
Yeah, and Gareth Brockles being the 333 car just put all of those open class drivers right on top of each other, taking P15 away from Ken Copeland. He'll dive into the pits now as we're looking at Mike Dam, a newcomer to this series, and he has put on a strong impression as Mitchell Peak, last week's winner, currently on provisional pole with a 247.312. However, Mike Dam going to see if he can best that as he heads into sector number 3 now towards Poulan. And this is a really tricky corner, honestly, especially at night with the limited visibility. It's honestly, it's going to be quite mesmerizing watching all the headlights of these small little cars come down that hill into this high-speed corner. You have to brake a little bit for the first part of it, and then it's full throttle from here on out. And it's a very tricky series of corners, but this is one of the most loved tracks by all drivers. So, and honestly, normally a track that is beloved by drivers, you would call it a driver's track. However, you can't really say that for a circuit to Spa-Francorchamps, as normally for other drivers' tracks, the cars tend to get more spread out. They tend to pull away from each other a little bit easier. But Spa, look at this run from this corner all the way up to the chicane. That is a massive run. And look at the run from the La Source hairpin all the way down to Lacombe. That's passing the start-finish line through Eau Rouge and Radillon, which, if I'm not mistaken, should be full throttle in these cars. So that is just a train of draft that is going to get run on both of these very, very long straightaways, and it is going to be very difficult for these drivers to prevent any sort of moves, and it's going to make the last couple of laps in this race all the more interesting as Mike Dam breaks into the chicane now. So got a pretty decent line into the second part of it, down to about 42 miles an hour on the apex, and it looks like Adam has the points working, so we're going to bring those up for you guys. We're going to try it one more time. Here they are for the pro class. Mitchell Peak with the win last week sits on top with 101. Joshua Soto there in second with 96. Camden Hibbett in third with 91 points. Mike Dam in fourth. Otis Adams Jr. in fifth. John Allen in sixth. Ronnie Coates in seventh. Nicky Borovic in 8th, Simon Foweather in 9th, and Rui Coimbra, who is not here this week, currently sits in P10. That's your top 10 for the pro class points. As now we're going to swap to the open class real quick, as it's not going to be many drivers that have scored points, only about 5, and that is Ken Copeland, Andrew Gilliland, John Casey, Andrew Cossack, and Josh Olson. Everybody else, it looks like, has not started a race yet this season.
I did want to mention that, Alex, while we're on it. It is weird to see so many red cars in this league. Normally they are pretty spread out, or pretty even, but man, it's wild to see the amount of pro drivers they have this time compared to the open drivers, and that is no dig on the open drivers. I think it might actually make it more interesting for these open drivers racing around more of these pros.
Yeah, there are 21 pro class cars on track and only 7 open class cars that have set down a qualifying time. So pro class cars outnumber the open class cars 3-1 right now, and that is just a staggering amount. Like you mentioned, Adam, it's usually quite even between the two classes, so it is pretty odd to see the amount of pro class cars compared to the open class cars. And there's something I want to mention about this track right now to you guys. I'm not sure if the info screen for the overlays will reflect this, but because the Spec-5 admins, they do like to have a little bit of fun. So
here we go.
The race is completely at night, which means very low tire temps, and I believe they are using the real-life current weather at Spa, and that is below freezing temps and snow. We can't get snow in iRacing, but we can for sure get some below freezing temps if you try hard enough, and that is, I reckon, going to cause a lot of drivers some trouble this race. Is they're gonna be dealing with cold tires pretty much all race long.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun to watch. Ray Lombardi, I am calling you out, my man. Be very careful coming into the pits. Alex, I think you may have the information on the pits, hopefully, on if these drivers are going to take tires or not. It's going to be, maybe it won't be such a big deal if these drivers try to take tires, because the difference between the tires that are on the car and the tires that come off and go back on won't matter that much, because they're all going to be cold. But real quick, I want to give a massive shout out to somebody I haven't seen or heard from in a very long time. Lucas Finco is tuned into the chat. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Hope everything's well in your life. Got John A. Casey, as always, in here. In B as well. And I've got all the guys from the Sudi chat here giving me a hard time. So thanks, guys, everyone, for tuning in.
You need to give him an even harder time because he can't figure out the points. I mean, he got it that one time, but he just can't do it right now. So let's see if he can figure out the starting grid for us, Adam, or else your friends from Sudi, they're gonna have to dog on you a little bit more. No, you figured it out this time. Good job.
I know what I'm doing sometimes.
There you go. Yeah, as long as you know what you're doing sometimes, you can make it 50% of the time, 100% of the time, I would say. So Mitchell Peak on pole with a 2:47.312. Mike Dam, fellow Canadian, there in second. Eugenio Polici, the only Italian in the field, there in third. Camden Hibbett in fourth. Robert Hartley in fifth. John Allen in sixth. Joshua Soto in seventh. Ronnie Coates in eighth. Michael Coates in ninth. Ray Lombardi in 10th. Nicky Borovic in 11th. Otis Adams Jr. in 12th. Behind them, if I had him scroll down just a tad, Jordy Fike in 13th, Sean Hayes in 14th, David Staub in 15th, Gareth Brocklesby in 16th. Then we got the first three open class drivers in the field, and they're starting right on top of each other. Ken Copeland in 18th, Jose Gonzalez alongside him in 18th. Actually, I think I said Ken Copeland was in 18th. He's in 17th. Apologies. Jose Gonzalez is in 18th. Jerry DiPiero in 19th. Brian Zabelski in 20th. Lee Martin in 21st. Kenneth Staub in 22nd. Greg Mack in 23rd. Sean Ruiz in 24th. Down a little bit further, Charles Vaccaro in 25th, Andrew Kosick in 26th, Josh Olson in 27th, Andrew Gilliland rounds out the field in 28th. 28-car field tonight, a lot more pro-class drivers than there are open-class drivers. That's going to prove to be pretty interesting, like you mentioned, Adam, as these pro-class drivers are going to have to get really accustomed to running with these pro-class drivers pretty much 24/7 this race, while still trying to maintain their own little battles. So, 45 minutes here for the first night race I have ever covered in the Spec-5 World Tour. Adam, what's your take on it? I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
This is the first night race I think Slow Motion Broadcasting has ever covered. So this is going to be interesting for us as a broadcasting group to try to figure out which cars are what, and I am really looking forward to the challenge. I'm in this blimp view right now because I just want to show you guys the amount of Miatas, which are not very big cars, that are on this track, and hopefully we should be able to see some headlights, which should illuminate some of what's going on with this amount of cars. Great job on Spec-5 for getting this amount of turnout a day before the 24-hour race.
And I don't mean to alarm you, but the dirt races in XSLR last season were night races, so just to prove a little bit of a point there. But look at these little small little cars. They're so little goofy boys.
Yeah.
But anyways, the iRacing safety car going to pull into the safety of the pit lane, and now the drivers await the green flag down the front straightaway. Green flag is out. We are racing at Spa, and it's a pretty good start for Mitchell Peak. Mike Dam is going to match him around the outside. They'll be side by side, 2 by 2, all throughout the field, going into Erosion Radium. The drivers have to be careful going through here. This is a very sketchy corner to go too wide, and Ken Copeland through there. Everybody else single file pretty far on back, and now it's a long run through the Kemmel Straight. Everybody going to be pretty conservative, I assume, down this straightaway for the first time, just trying to make it to the other side and just trying to get through this first lap. It's a pretty clean start for basically everyone throughout the field. Gareth Brocklesby side by side with Jordy Fike I believe, right now, as it's 2x2 throughout the field, and currently Ken Copeland is already in the pit lane as Jose Gonzalez and Jerry DiPiero side by side for the open class lead, so something must have happened to Ken, but so far, clean race throughout the field. Other than that, Jose Gonzalez moved himself one spot ahead of the open class leader. Jerry DiPiero goes around by him again. This is what happened to Ken Copeland. It's in the 15 car inside heading into Eau Rouge. He's that yellow car right there. And it looks like, I can't really, maybe Jerry just misjudged how close he was, just slammed into him. Nothing Ken could really do there. That's going to destroy his race car. Here's another angle of it as they head up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Looks like everybody just pretty slow, just trying to take it easy. And Jerry DiPiero just slams into the back of him, sends him straight into the tire barrier. Very tough break for Ken Copeland. Last week's winner, just nothing he could do there.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate for Ken, but, you know, the race will go on for him. Don't count himself out yet. We do know, as Jordy Fike has told us multiple times this week, there will be some draft lap heroes going for moves that they probably shouldn't go for moves on. And, yeah, who knows what could actually happen here. We've got another crash. Jose Gonzalez seems to be a little bit slow as well.
Yeah, and judging off him coming through that hill, looks like his left front tire is off the ground, so that's going to be some suspension damage, and that'll give Jerry DiPiero an easy open class lead for the moment. So it looks like he hits that curb and then comes up into the 333 car, sends them both into the tire barrier. And that is going to pretty much end their night for now. Like you said, this is a very drafty track, so you might see Jose Gonzalez make a comeback later in the race, but so far it's the Jerry DiPiero show up front for the open class, and already Mike Dam has taken the lead on the opening lap. Eugenio Polici's gotten around Mitchell Peak for second, and he's currently fallen back to third, and I'm not sure what just happened. I could have sworn I just saw a couple of cars really slow.
Oh, we've got a massive
out of the
wreck
chicane.
here. Yes.
So it looks like we have a bit of a pileup out of the chicane. We're looking at Sean Ruiz right now in the 111 car right there as he heads onto the brakes into the chicane for the first time, and nothing really too alarming so far. Sends it into the first corner. And it looks like, the 122 car, I'm not sure who that was, just tried to take a wider corner, and it looks like Sean didn't expect it, ended up taking the inside. That was Jerry DiPiero, so Jerry might have a little bit of left side damage from that, but it doesn't seem like it should affect the car that much. But looks like Jerry tried to take a bit of a wider line through there. Sean Ruiz did not expect it, ended up hitting him a little bit. Is Eugenio Polici shoving Mike Dam down the Kemmel straight, not going to make a move on him. Just everybody trying to be cautious right now in the opening laps of this race. And that brings us to fuel strategy, because this race really isn't going to pick up until then. The expected pit window, first off, it's expected to be around a 16 lap race, and the pit window should be open from lap 5 to 11. These drivers will need to add about 9 liters or 2.5 gallons to their cars to make it to the end of this race. That was what we've gathered off of some testing. And for tires, you can take 2 tires without losing any time. But honestly, for drivers that are pondering whether or not to take tires, you can go back to last week's race at Road Atlanta, where drivers that took tires seem to be struggling quite a bit. So honestly, I don't think it's really worth it to take tires.
I wouldn't say so, not around here, man. But I don't know. I don't drive Miatas that much, so I can't give you that information. But I would think with how cold this track is, you're not going to be forcing these tires through some huge heat cycles like you would expect around Spa sometimes. It's going to be interesting to see if these guys do try to take tires and what side they would want to take. I would expect maybe if they wanted to, it would probably be left sides, but I don't know.
Yeah, so, I mean, really, tire strategy, we've seen tire strategy decide these races before. We could be dealing with another race like that right now. It just all depends. We have to wait for the pit window to open and see what these drivers do. Here's Robert Hartley going for a move around Camden Hibbett. He'll seal that spot away from the number 32 cars. Eugenio Polici just up the road in front of him. Mitchell Peak took second place back from the number 7 car. While we were looking back at some of the open class cars, Joshua Soto currently up 1 spot there in P6. I believe He's following a side-by-side battle with Camden Hibbett and Robert Hartley into the La Source hairpin, the final corner on this layout of this racetrack. And one thing that these drivers do have to worry about is the distance to the car ahead. And, I mean, judging off of what we've been told by the admins, these drivers can get slipstreams from as far back as 1.6 seconds, and that is absolutely absurd. But you don't want to fall too far back from the car in front of you, because that could be detrimental to the rest of your race if you can't close that gap. We're going to see if Mitchell Peak is going to try and retake the lead from Mike Dam here. Looks like he's going to elect to push him. Looks like he blinks out a little bit there, but no, he's going to try and go to the inside. He gets his nose out front before they get to the corner, and it looks like he will easily secure that spot from Mike Dam, who Eugenio Polici currently still sits behind him as they head through, I believe, Lacombe.
So another thing that we're going to have to start thinking about here, yes, this is a 45-minute race, but it's going to go very quickly because these laps go on what seems like forever, is fuel strategy, right? So we just saw Mitchell Peak take the lead back over Mike Dam. The question is, how much of this is planned by Mitchell Peak or Mike Dam? Would Mike just want to hang out behind him, half throttle down some of these straightaways, Kimmel, Blanchimont? But the question would be, if you start getting overtaken, how many people can overtake you, and how comfortable would you be with people overtaking you to save fuel? So when you do have to come in, you're not fueling the car as much. You don't have to get as much fuel to put in that car because you've saved so much on your stint. It's going to be interesting. This is going to be a race, especially with how drafty this track is. It may come down to pit stops, but it also may not, because if you do some amazing fuel saving, well, then what? If you're out by yourself, you're just going to get caught up in a hurry by the guys behind you.
Yeah, so honestly, I'm not quite sure what these drivers should do for fuel. We don't have Randall here to hear his wrong pit call to see what not to do. So honestly, I'm not quite sure what these drivers are going to do in terms of pit stops. I feel like, probably just stick with old reliable, follow the pit lane master, and that is Ronnie Coates, currently sitting in P8, about a second back from Michael Coates, but you don't really want to count him out in terms of anything, as we've seen Ronnie Coates pull off some incredible pit lane strategies in the past that have put him straight up to the lead from maybe 5th, 6th, or 7th, as we're looking at Jerry DiPiero currently racing with some with some pro class cars. He's got Jordy Fike trailing him, as well as Lee Martin and Brian Zabelski right on his rear bumper. Currently about 4 seconds back from David Staub in front at him. You don't really need to put that in chat now. I mean, you can just start yelling in the chat in the broadcast booth.
I know, I
because
could.
You're here now.
I absolutely could. I broke down the production door. You guys tried to keep me locked in, and I was tired of it. So I just decided to come out here and tell you guys that I can still commentate. So that's what I'm doing. Randall, I miss you. This is very difficult, and I want to go back to my little hole in the production trailer. But back up here, we got Mitchell Peak and Mike Dam here, but we have got a battle on our hands here. Alex, 3 wide.
This is not something I would have expected on lap 4 of this race, but it looks like they sort themselves out quickly. Is Mitchell Peak going to fall behind both of these twos? Eugenio Polici and Mike Dam still side by side into that corner. Looks like they're going to let Eugenio Polici have that spot. Mike Dam going to follow suit for now, as it's pretty much been the same top 3 drivers interchanging their positions so far, and that has been the top 3 so far. Eugenio Polici, Mike Dam, and Mitchell Peak have just been swapping their spots so far, as it looks like Jerry DiPiero has lost a couple of spots, as Jordy Fike and Lee Martin have both gotten around him at the moment as they head into Rivage.
I want to talk about Jordy Fike here for a minute. This is weird to see him this far down the order, and I'm going to pull up the track map for you guys. There is a gap starting to form here between the 09 of Jordy and the 36 of David Staub. It's weird to see this amount of breakaway at Spa. I wouldn't have never expected it.
Well, it could just be because of just drivers back here trying to avoid incidents or racing with each other to see who can lead this pack the best. So it's not too hard to find yourself down here, but it is a little puzzling when a gap that big starts to form at a track like this. David Staub is just going to have to wait for this back straightaway to try and catch back up to the cars in front of him, as he's just going to be stuck right here for now, and I think he should still get a slipstream run, as we've been told by, I believe, Andrew Kosick, that you can feel these slipstream runs as far as 1.6 seconds back, and honestly, I do not doubt that at all for these little cars. So, see if David Staub can make that gap back up to the cars in front of him, as we're looking at Otis Adams Jr. currently vibing in P10 right now. Got Josh Allen right in front of him and Sean Hayes right behind him.
So we are supposed to get some type of interview with Otis Adams Jr., but it scares me to do that when he is this close. So Otis, if we don't get to you, I don't think you'll be upset if we don't do an in-race interview with you as you're about to go 3 wide going into what we would normally call turn 1.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in-race interviews are fun. We've seen them before. We did one last season with Ray Lombardi at Interlagos.
Genio Polisi just crashed.
Yeah, he just went around out of the first corner. He was leading all by himself, just riding comfortably up there. Onto the brakes for the hairpin, gets the car turned into the corner, and it looks like just a bit of oversteer on the exit. Can't save it. Does a nice job holding the brakes there. Gets a pretty decent save, doesn't hit anything, but that is going to really hurt his standings in this race. Now he's just going to have to try and work his way back towards the front. He's still kept himself within the main pack. We just have to see if he can close that gap back down and put himself back in one of these leading spots, as we're looking at Greg Mack here in 24th.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I just saw Jason Bossi there come in and say that Mack has a boring race, and it is very unfortunate for Greg Mack. Hopefully he can try to get caught back up. He is just running around by himself at this point, which is a terrible thing to do, especially at Spa with no draft help. Gareth Brocklesby back here as well is having some issues, as well as Ken Copeland and Jose Gonzalez. And finally, Josh Olson, which brings me to the slow motion broadcasting new thing that we are starting to do here for the Spec-5 World Tour. And that is going to be the back marker salute. Mr. Olson, we salute you for staying in the race, even though you are that far down. So, Alex, we're going to go from the back to the front of the field here.
Yes, and Josh Olson, what a champ. He's had so many good opportunities, just has never got any meaningful fruit from this series so far in his career. So it's always good to see him still in a session and still trying. Up in front of him, we have Jose Gonzalez. Should have been fighting for the open class lead right now, but unfortunate incidents in the corners after the Camel Straight has led him to P27. So Jose Gonzalez, we salute you. Same thing for Ken Copeland, who once again was involved in an opening lap incident heading out of Eau Rouge and Radillon now, currently driving around all by himself in 26th. Gareth Brocklesby just up ahead of him in 25th. Greg Mack in 24th. Charles Vaccaro, 4th place in the open class, currently running around all by his lone, some 4 seconds away from any other car on the track. Sean Ruiz currently running around in 22nd. Andrew Gilliland in front of him in 21st. Andrew Kosek in 20th.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off here, Alex. We do have an off track for the leaders. Soto and Hartley, both with an off track. Looks like they're battling pretty hard here. We're going to have to see what happens.
Ooh, Soto got a little sideways there, and it looks like just went wide on that curb there. That's probably what gave him the off track, is going just a tad wide there. And it looks like he just got a bit sideways through the first part of that chicane. Did a great job at keeping it together. But so far, 3-car pack here. Sean Ruiz trailing Andrew Gilliland, trailing Andrew Kosek. Because there was a car stopped on the inside of that corner. That was Jordy Fike. He was stopped on the inside of the Losaurus hairpin there. I saw him stop there. I don't know what just happened to him. He's trailing, or he's inside a 5-car pack right now, presumably behind the lead pack, as Jerry DiPiero is in there, Lee Martin, Brian Zabelski, all those drivers, and it looks like, oh, he clips the grass on entry and just can't save the car. That's a very easy mistake and a very costly one at that. I know I have definitely done that before. Great job by those two drivers, Andrew Gilliland, to get past him on the inside there instead of swerving up into Andrew Kosek. That was a very, very, very heads-up driving from Andrew Gilliland there.
Yeah, that was, I don't know if Jordy really could do much about it sitting on the apex of, I'm going to continue to call it turn 1 because that's just what I'm going to call it. And it's very tough for Jordy to get out of the way there. Great job on him for holding the brakes. He backed up just a little bit, which I think gave Gilliland the room to go down the inside. May not have worked out otherwise. So great heads-up driving by both of those drivers.
Yeah, definitely just unfortunate for Jordy Fike, who now finds himself running 23rd after having a decent race inside the top 15. It looks like it has just all gone down the drain. And Joshua Soto, who qualified P7 at the start of this race, 15 minutes in, has already found himself up at the lead with Mike Dam trailing behind him. And no surprise to me, honestly. It's just this driver, Joshua Soto, is so incredibly fast with these cars. He just hasn't really gotten the results to prove it as of late, but just so fast in these cars.
Another driver we do have to look out for is John Allen as well. Very quick driver. Looking at his iRating right now, 57.22. Robert Hartley up there as well, almost 10K, 97.15 for Robert Hartley.
God.
So these drivers are all ones to watch out for when it comes to the end of the race. Be very cautious as we see Hartley going too wide into the bus stop, and it looks like everybody's going to get through there clean. This is some amazing racing right now.
That is insanely impressive to be that dedicated to iRacing. You have a 9,700 iRating. So hats off to Robert Hartley for being that committed to his virtual racing, that he has an iRating that high. Very impressive from that driver. And he's currently running inside the top 5 on not one of the most skillful races, if I'm honest. This
Ray Lombardi.
Race is more importantly about timing and draft. But here's Ray Lombardi, our guy back here in the 112 Open Class Championship winning car, and it looks like he tries to go to the outside of Sean Hayes heading through. It looks like gets into the back bumper of Otis Adams Jr. That slows him up a little bit. It looks like he doesn't go around it all. Gets in the back bumper. Eugenio Pellicci, there he goes around. It looks like he keeps his foot in it to get the car pointed back in the right direction and pulls back out onto the racing line as other cars head through the chicane up behind him. So very unfortunate for Ray Lombardi. He was having a pretty decent race inside the top 10, and it is just all gone down the drain as Soto still leads Peak, leads Dam.
Yeah, this is going to be some amazing racing up here, I think, because if these guys can stay together like this, we got Soto, Peak, Dam, Hibbett, Hartley, Coates, I mean, all the way back here. Sean Hayes even is still back here in this lead pack. But look at the gap between him and the number 149 car of Lee Martin. I mean, this is, man, it's crazy. 7 seconds already. We're only on lap 7, 18 minutes into this race.
Yeah, it's just absolutely incredible. Oh, Lee Martin very sideways there out of the Rivage. Very good driving there to keep that car under him now, as he's going to give Jerry DiPiero P13 as they head towards Pouan. Now is a very good save from Lee Martin to keep that car under him. It's not every day you see somebody save a car that was almost probably 30 degrees sideways. So very impressive driving from Lee Martin.
We have another off track here from Eugenio Pellicci, and then he decided to go to the pit, so we'll see what exactly happened here with Eugenio. It's unfortunate he just decided to park it and call it a night. Man, very unfortunate for Eugenio. Spun it around or got it very loose going into turn 1, and just, you know, when you're that far back with no draft help, stuff like that's going to happen.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Just Eugenio Pellicci is just so fast in these cars. He just never really has had a major shot to get a win or a podium at one of these races. No doubt a wow. I can't speak a word of English right now. A very talented driver in this series, just hasn't had the greatest of luck as of late. A driver that has had some really good luck as of late is currently the leader of this race. Started on pole as well. Mitchell Peak won last week at Atlanta, won the season 11 championship, and very fast driver, and he has been holding it together very nicely up here, holding some of the fastest drivers probably on these cars on the iRacing service in general of Joshua Soto and Mike Dam.
Yep, be cognizant of the fuel, though. This is going to be big. Mitchell Peak has had a lot of time in the lead, and it's going to hurt him when it comes down to the amount of fuel that he's got to put in the car to make it to the end. He's been leading for quite a bit. Joshua Soto sitting in his draft as well as Mike Dam and Camden Hibbett, the 14-year-old. We haven't talked about him that much. This guy is unbelievable for his age, up here battling, maybe he's 15, whatever it is, battling with these leaders.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible to see what Cameron Hibbett can do behind the wheel. We saw it last season with him having several wins, including one of the final races of the season at the Indianapolis Road Course, and it's so impressive to see what this young and up-and-coming driver can do behind the wheel of one of these cars, going up against some of the best in these Miatas on the surface. So hats off to Cameron Hibbett and what he's able to do behind the wheel of these race cars, as Mitchell Peak still leads over Joshua Soto through the Ravage hairpin, and currently is a it's an 11 car pack from Mitchell Peak all the way down to David Staub. So these drivers just in a long 11 car pack right now, probably just twiddling their thumbs, waiting for the pit cycles to start, which is going to happen in the next few laps, as the pit stops are going to have to happen before lap 12. So we said the pit window was lap 5 to 11. Currently, it looks like nobody has pitted for fuel except Greg Mack. So these drivers, I assume, no doubt watching their fuel gauges and just waiting for them to get to the perfect opportunity to come into the pits.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And again, we're sitting here watching Mitchell Peak. He's going to be, I would assume, probably one of the first people to come in at this point, because he's been out in the lead so long. But we're looking here, got some YouTube chats here. Paulo Coimbra saying that he is going to be back here starting race number 4. And Paulo, I've got some information for you, buddy. Race number 4 is Suzuka, so it's a good one to start on. Glad to see you coming back to the league, but back to the leaders. Mitchell Peak, man, I think Joshua Soto, all of these cars behind him are sitting behind him just to save some fuel. It's going to be interesting. Very, very interesting, actually, to see how all of these pit strategies play out.
Yeah, and we'll see if we have any takers this time out of the La Source hairpin, which is where the pit lane entry starts on this layout of this track. But so far, single file throughout this lead pack, as they're just trying to get to the pit cycles, and then they will probably start racing each other a lot harder from there. And it looks like Mitchell Peak going to take the hard right-hand corner down into the pit lane. It looks like Joshua Soto going to follow him through there. Looks like Soto broke a little bit earlier into the pit lane, but definitely broke a little bit harder than Mitchell Peak did, who had a smoother slowdown into the pits. This gives the lead to Mike Dam with Cameron Hibbett. Michael Coates still on his tail down the Kemmel Straight. Sean Hayes with the fastest lap last time by with a 2:46.9. Now we just have to wait and see where Mitchell Peak and Joshua Soto come out.
Look at Michael Coates go.
Back. Yeah, there he goes from third to first around the outside there. Josh Allen is going to try he's going to try and follow him too through there in the 101 car. He'll move himself up to third. Now Michael Coates still side by side with Mike Dam. Now still side by side as they head towards the Ravage hairpin. It looks like Mike Dam going to maintain the lead.
Yep, that was very good heads up driving by both of those drivers, Mike and Michael, to make it through that corner. But I am surprised, to be honest, that Joshua Soto came in with Mitchell Peak. I wonder if this is a strategy play on Joshua Soto's part to come in with at least one other driver, and you wonder how much these drivers are working together right now. I would love to talk to Otis Adams, who we still have to get in here, but again, I don't want to right now because he is still in this lead pack, probably talking strategy with his team at the moment.
Yeah, and you were mentioning if Joshua Soto is working with Mitchell Peak. I don't know if he can right now, because if we look back and see where these two are, Joshua Soto is about a second ahead of Mitchell Peak at the moment. So these two really can't work together at the moment until Mitchell Peak starts to close this gap down. But looks like he's already managing to do that at the moment, and he's bringing Robert Hartley with him, a very fast, almost 10,000 iRating driver. So these three drivers are the first lead pack cars to come into the pit lane. I think Robert Hartley might have pitted a little bit earlier than even Mitchell Peak and Joshua Soto did. So now as the leaders heading towards the chicane, we have to see if any of them choose to come into the pit lane this lap, because I believe they will have to come into the pits either this lap or next time by. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, with Robert Hartley being the 97, what did I say he was earlier? Whatever, 97.15. Yeah, 97.15 iRating guy. I'd be coming in when Robert Hartley came in. Clearly, this guy knows what he's doing in these cars. So him, Mitchell Peak, and Joshua Soto all working together. We're about to find out here. If I think these cars stay out another lap, depending on, because we have seen these guys fighting up in front, Mike Dam and Michael Coates. We'll see who comes in. Looks like only one car decides to peel in, but no, he decided to stay out, and I believe that was Camden Hibbett who was trying to bait everybody else into the pits.
Yeah, it looked like he was planning to come into the pits that lap, but started second-guessing himself when he didn't see anybody else making the hard right turn down towards the pit lane, so that'll leave him out another lap, and it looked like it cost him a little bit of time to John Allen in front of him driving the number 101 machine. Those three cars, looks like Michael Coates pushing Mike Dam down the straightaway. So these drivers obviously still inclined to work with each other at this point in the race, even though they still have to get their pit stops out of the way, which is going to come either this lap or the next. So Lee Martin pushing Jerry DiPiero, still the open class leader down this front straightaway. And really, Jerry DiPiero, as long as he doesn't make any major mistakes, he's in the clear for the rest of this race, as Charles Vaccaro is about, I want to say, over 15 seconds behind him.
Yep, and you guys are about to see a message again. It's getting more and more intense here for my buddy Jerry DiPiero, sitting out here in the lead of the open class by about 4 cars, and he's got Charles Vaccaro, the next guy, who is, yeah, I don't know how Charles can make really, Jerry's going to have to make a mistake at this point to make anything happen for Charles to take that open class win, and I'm sure you can hear the dog in my background. Lewis, our SMB mascot, is squeaking on his squeaky toy right now, so I apologize about that.
I think he's just looking for something to do while watching this absolute banger of a race. I think he was a little bit hungry. He might have mistook his squeaky toy for some food, as he's currently tuning into this race with us, the official SMB mascot. Very cute little corgi named Lewis. Oh, is Michael Coates off track a little bit there? He got his left side tires into the gravel. He was able to wheel that car back on the racing surface before anything catastrophic could have happened. So good heads up driving by him to keep that car under control, as that could have been disastrous, as we've seen, especially with Jordy Fike going into the Lasource hairpin, how disastrous just ever so slightly clipping the grass or the gravel can be at this circuit. As we're watching Camden Hibbett chase down John Allen now as they head towards the chicane at the moment. Mike Dam still leads them as they're going to head towards lap number 11 through the final couple of corners. We'll see if any of them pit this time by. I reckon that they might just be trying to run the tanks out as long as they can, so definitely next time by, if not this time by. So we'll see what they do, as we're going to see them exit the hairpin, and you'll see if any cars come down, take the hard right turn into the pit lane. We'll see off this corner. It looks like, ooh, Camden Hibbett considering it. And is he going to come in by himself? 2 cars come into the pits. It's going to be Michael Coates and Camden Hibbett, as well as Nicky Borovic and David Staub into the pit lane. So Sean Hayes in the pits as well. So I reckon that everybody else going to come into the pits the next time by, that includes Mike Dam, John Allen, Ronnie Coates, and Otis Adams Jr. And that is the horse I'm betting on for this race right now at the moment in terms of pit strategy. Ronnie Coates, he's got the current fastest lap with a 246.765, but that is not what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about his pit strategy and how every single race it seems to be absolutely on point. But we will have to look out for the other drivers, Mitchell Peak, Robert Hartley, and Joshua Soto coming down this front straightaway. It looks like some of these drivers exiting the pits already. There they are in the background. Nicky Borovic out of the pits right now.
I think he's going to get him.
They have to take a bit of an absurd line through this pit exit here. We'll see if Nicky Borovic can stay in front of these drivers. I think Mitchell Peak is just going to have some better speed.
He got him.
Especially with the line the other drivers have to take to exit the pit. So Mitchell Peak does clear that entire pack, and now it's just going to be a game of catch-up to see if Mitchell Peak and Robert Hartley, as well as Joshua Soto, have ran fast enough laps to catch back up to Mike Dam, John Allen, Ronnie Coates, Otis Adams Jr., and Brian Zabelski whenever they all pit, which presumably is going to be this time by.
I would expect it to be this lap, and this is going to be, dude, if I can't believe I just said dude on the broadcast. I'm sorry, but these guys are these guys are losing time to Mitchell Peak, Camden Hibbett, all of these drivers, and I can't see Mitchell not getting back in the lead at this point. He's got Joshua Soto with him. He's got the fast guy. Robert Hartley with him as well. So, I mean, I don't expect...
He said the fast guy.
I don't expect Mitchell to lose the lead of this race. I actually expect these 3 cars, Robert, Joshua, and Mitchell, to maybe have enough of a gap to be able to break this slipstream as these drivers come in. Randall's wrong pit call going to turn it into Adam's wrong pit call this week.
All right, so we'll see what happens. Adam, your prediction, to sum that up, do you think Mitchell is going to retake the lead?
Yes, 100% Mitchell's retaking the lead, and I think he's going to retake the lead more than when he came in. I think Mitchell, Robert, and Joshua are going to have a 3-car breakaway, and it will be between them to win this race.
All right, well, Nicky Borovic is only about 1.3 seconds behind him, bringing Michael Coates with him, so we'll see if Randall's wrong pit call turns into Adam's wrong pit call now, as these 3 drivers going to head into the pit lane as well as Otis Adams Jr. This is going to be the last call for any remaining drivers in the field that have it yet to pit. So we'll see what happens down this front straightaway. It looks like Mitchell Peak leading that pack through the chicane at the moment, heading down what is normally the front straightaways. These drivers are entering their pit stalls now. We'll see who has the fastest pit stops. You got to remember, these drivers aren't going to have to take as much fuel as the other drivers did. Actually, no, I actually think that's quite off. I'm not sure how much fuel they're going to have to take, whether it's even or whether it will be different. So it looks like out of the hairpin, there goes Mike Dam out of the pit, or excuse me, John Allen out of the pit lane. Mike Dam out as well. Ronnie Coates and Otis Adams now out of the pit lane. Honestly, Adam, I think that might have just turned into Adam's wrong pit call there.
I think it did. I think I'm very wrong.
That was a fantastic pit stop from John Allen and Mike Dam, as well as Ronnie Coates up there. We'll see where these drivers come out, but look at how far ahead everybody else is compared to Mitchell Peak, and now it's going to be a real game of catch-up for Mitchell Peak as Robert Hartley dragging Joshua Soto with him. It looks like they're trying to go 3 wide into Lacombe. Mitchell Peak going to follow Joshua Soto now, but John Allen clear into the lead, and the only competition he will have is Mike Dam and maybe Ronnie Coates if they can make up that gap.
Yeah, this is something I didn't expect to see. We got Ronnie Coates there about 1.5 seconds, which, again, like you said, 1.6 seconds off of Mike Dam even, and that's about where that draft runs out from what we've been hearing from the Spec-5 admins. Yeah, they've got some catching up to do here.
And also, especially if Mike Dam and John Allen start racing for this lead, that's when Ronnie Coates and the rest of the field are going to really start to be able to close this gap down to these leaders. So pretty much everybody from 9th on up still is not out of this race, but they have a bit of work to do if they want to get back up to these lead 2 cars. Fantastic pit stop from John Allen and Mike Dam to get themselves this far out. That is not something that I expected, and I think, Adam, we have to turn it into Adam's wrong pit call. You might be stealing Randall's thunder here.
I know. I need to start making a graphic here, and I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to go back down into the production booth next week so you guys don't have to hear my voice, but it's still going to be Randall's wrong pit call because, yeah, I mean, he's a Marine, so, you know, he's normally wrong most of the time. Randall, I hope you listen to this sometime, and if you don't, love you, buddy.
All right, well, it looks like Ronnie Coates with no draft help. Looks like losing time to John Allen and Mike Dam down this back straightaway, and Ronnie Coates desperately needs some help from Joshua Soto if they want to catch back up to these lead 2 cars, which are working together down these straights. You can see Mike Dam pushing John Allen down towards the chicane, and we have to see what Ronnie Coates can do to try and work with Joshua Soto to close this gap up. It looks like gained quite a bit of time through the hairpin there, Ronnie Coates did on Mike Dam, but still just hasn't been able to consistently close this gap down. You see the 2 leaders up there, and you see where Ronnie Coates is in comparison. We have to see if Ronnie Coates can get a nice run out of the La Source hairpin to get a really consistent slipstream, or even doesn't even have to be a strong slipstream, just a slight slipstream to start bringing these packs back together. But I thought they were going to go side by side there, but Mike Dam just running really wide there before Erosion Radion, and these drivers are not out of it, as Camden Hibbett, the last car in this pack, just ran the fastest lap of the race at 2:46.3, but the leader of that pack, Joshua Soto, ran at 2:46.6. So especially as these leaders are going side by side now,
they're all side by side at this point.
Should have a tougher time to catch up to the leaders, but still they're going side by side in the back of the field, which is something they can't really be doing right now if they want to catch up to the leaders. It's just going to hurt them.
Yeah, this is crazy for Robert Hartley to be, and Mitchell Peak to try to be making moves right now, but it looks like it's working out for him somehow. They've closed the gap down to 1.5 seconds, and that gap between Allen and Dam down to 1 second. So whatever Allen and Dam have been doing, it's not working. I think Ronnie Coates is back in that slipstream now, and he's going to start dragging Mitchell Peak with him because that gap is only 1.5 seconds. And like I said, watch that 1.6 second mark. I think that's what you need to look for on these intervals is 1.6 seconds.
Yeah, especially with where Mike Dam and John Allen, they were racing for the lead of this race, heading into Lacombe down the Kemmel Straight, and that definitely gave Ronnie Coates an easier time as John Allen and Mike Dam had to give room for each other going through those switchbacks. So Ronnie Coates is able to close that gap down just a little bit, but can he maintain it? Is Mitchell Peak still trying to catch up to the rear bumper of the 31 car to bring the rest of this pack back into the fight for the win? Just about 9 minutes left, and things are really starting to pick up and things are really starting to heat up in the night, no less, from Spa.
This is about to get very interesting. I didn't expect it to get this spread out around Spa, but you also have to think when there is a mistake, the draft trains that are starting to form, if you're out of that draft train, it's game over. But the fact that these drivers are starting to pull these gaps in to each other, 1.2 seconds now between Coates and Allen. So he is definitely there. You can see that interval starting to come down. It will be within a second by the time they get to the bus stop. Yeah, it's game on. It is game on, my friend.
Yeah, and especially if Mitchell Peak can work with Robert Hartley to get down this front straightaway, they will really start to close the gap up to Ronnie Coates, which in turn will help them close the gap up to John Allen and Mike Dam. So still, pretty much anybody's race for the drivers inside the top 10 at this point. It just all depends on who can make the right moves when and start to work together, work as a unit to catch back up to the leaders, which is really what these drivers need to be doing right now. They can't worry about being in 4th or 5th or 6th or even 3rd. They need to worry about those leaders up front. Those are where a lot of the points come from, because with the points changes for the Spec-5 World Tour this season, no matter what happens, the leader gets the most points in a race. So bonus points mean less and less, and your finishing position means more and more. And I think drivers, especially Robert Hartley right now, is realizing this and trying to go for a move on Mitchell Peak around the outside. It won't affect their run into Lacombe, but it'll definitely start to take some time out of that gap as they could have spent that time down that straightaway bump traffic to try and catch up to the leaders, as Ronnie Coates is now well within drafting range of the top 2. Now we have to see if Robert Hartley can lead this pack up to them.
Well, no, actually, I'm checking the YouTube chat right now. Jason Bossy is saying, I'm wondering if leapfrogging, what they're trying to do is actually maybe a little quicker than trying to bump draft down the straights, because you have that run to get around, and then if Mitchell obviously can just pop right back in behind him and keep going, wonder if that may be the move, and they're down to 1.5. They haven't really been able to close it much more, but that's also because Ronnie Coates has been sucking back up to the back bumper of John Allen. So we'll see what they can do now that those 3 drivers are nose to tail, if this pack behind him can get back up there.
I don't know, though. I've always been more comfortable with the tandem drafting thing. Is leapfrogging, yeah, you get a massive run and you can pull yourself past the car ahead of you, but in the end, you're just going to end up losing time from the time you spent side by side with the other car, especially with the side draft. I don't really think the side draft is too much of a big deal for anybody that doesn't know. A side draft is when you get your left front fender right up to another car's right rear fender, or vice versa, and it ends up pulling that car next to you back. So they're battling behind Robert Hartley right now. That's allowing Hartley to pull away. And Michael Coates currently trying to get around Mitchell Peak, and that is slowing that entire pack down. And it looks like that entire pack has just started to spread out at the moment, as Michael Coates trying to hold off Mitchell Peak at the moment, as Ronnie Coates going for the lead on Mike Dam now, side by side to the chicane for these two. But the leaders just had a bit of a kerfuffle going into that chicane as well, as Robert Hartley well within drafting range, so he will be able to join this fight for the lead on what is presumably going to be the last 2 laps of this race. So Robert Hartley now in the fight for the lead, but Michael Coates and Mitchell Peak still have to try and sort themselves out here if they want a shot at catching up to the leaders.
They've lost 3 tenths, 4, 5 tenths probably by the time they come out of here with Mitchell Peak. They're about to go side by side through a Rouge and Radeon as well, which is not what you want to do if they're trying to battle. Maybe they've already gave up trying to get back up to the back of them. They've just decided that 5th place is about where they're going to be. Unfortunately for those guys, because Robert Hartley was able to get that breakaway about the time they started battling, and now you've got Michael Coates starting to push Mitchell Peak, but it might just be a little too late. But look, Michael Coates pushing Mitchell Peak. It's not working. It is not working. They're about to be 3 wide.
Yeah, but the gap's starting to close down from Camden Hibbett now, who takes them 3 wide into turn number 1 and gets the gap under 2 seconds. They're taking that spot away. Camden Hibbett has been setting the fastest laps pretty much for the past couple of laps in a row. Currently, he has it down to 2:46.065. Now he has to see if he can lead this pack up to the leaders, but I honestly don't think it's really enough at this point. They're not working together as well as they could be, and that's allowing the leaders to just stay right where they are, just ever so slightly off into the distance, as Mike Dam still holding onto the lead from Ronnie Coates now, as John Allen going for second into Pouon.
Look at this gap, though. Look at what Camden Hibbett's been able to do. It's already down to 1.4, 1.3. I don't know what they've done back there. I think they just needed Camden Hibbett up front as these drivers are battling for 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. Uh-oh. They're within it. They're 1.2, 1.1. They're in the draft, Alex.
I think it honestly might be because they were racing for second there. That drew them away from Mike Dam, and it brought Camden Hibbett closer to the rear bumper of Robert Hartley, currently in the back of that lead pack. So these drivers need to turn their attention back towards Mike Dam, or else they might risk losing this race as they head towards down the Blanchimont straightaway now to take the white flag at the end of this lap.
Yep, this is just turned into at least 8-car battle. I don't know. Again, maybe Mitchell Peak can get to him, but he's not going to be able to make. I'm going to say this, and Mitchell, I swear, if you do this to me, I don't think Mitchell Peak's going to be able to overtake 6 cars to take this lead or to take this win. I see these guys battling, and it may get them up there. They're already going to continue to battle, probably going into the bus stop. Nope, they all stay single file.
No, I hope Mitchell Peak wins this race now, just to prove a point. But Camden Hibbett now has brought this group well within drafting range, so it is now a 9-car race for the win as they come to take the white flag. They still have to wait one more corner before they get there into the Lasource hairpin now. For the second to final time, Mike Dam going to lead them there as they're going to take the white flag down the front straightaway. Can John Allen, Ronnie Coates, Robert Hartley, Cameron Hibbett even, who was in the back of this field just a couple of laps ago, win this race? It's all going to come down to these straightaways and who can just keep their times together the best. Now, up towards Rouge and Radeon for the last time. It's all going to depend on what John Allen can do and maybe use the help of Ronnie Coates, but Ronnie Coates is going for his own move. He has his own plan down the Kemmel straightaway. Here comes Robert Hartley, I think, to go 3 wide now. As they head into Lacombe, Robert Hartley going to take the lead. Thunder outside of my house right now, proving how exciting this race is right now. Robert Hartley takes the lead into Lacombe. Ronnie Coates going to follow him now side by side. That's Camden Hibbett off track and into the tire barrier. Still they race on. Robert Hartley maintains the lead as Ronnie Coates in second, Mike Dam third, John Allen fourth. Mitchell Peak hasn't really gotten a shot to do anything right now, as it's all going to come out to the Blanchimont straightaway right now. All what these drivers have to do is they just have to maintain their spots and just make sure that they can remain in drafting range down that back straightaway. So that's all Ronnie Coates has to do, is just not make a mistake through Pouon and Fanes and all the corners following before the Blanchimont straightaway. So we'll see what happens now as they head through Pouon.
Drivers taking off tracks everywhere now. Throw everything out the window. Forget about the off tracks. They're just going for it. Absolute pace right now. Everyone is trying to get as close as they can to Robert Hartley. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, as they head towards the final couple of corners before the long straightaway. This is going to be the longest straightaway of Robert Hartley's career here, as he's going to have about 6 angry Miatas right on his tail trying to take the spot that he is currently in. So we'll see what happens now. Full throttle from here to the chicane. What can Ronnie Coates do? What can Mike Dam do? What can John Allen do back there from P4? Mike Dam is the first to make a move down the straightaway. They're already on the back bumper of Robert Hartley now as they head into Blanchimont. Ronnie Coates trying to go around the outside, side by side through Stavelo, I believe, as they head towards the chicane now. Robert Hartley still has his nose out front, but Ronnie Coates rapidly closing this gap. It looked like John Allen tried to get something going 3 wide there around the outside. Excuse me, that was Mike Dam. Everybody eats the sausage curb, still side by side out of the chicane. Ronnie Coates gets a little sideways there. They'll have one more shot to maybe pull off a dive bomb into the final corner, but so far, it's the Robert Hartley show up front as they're going almost 4 wide behind him into the final corner. Who's it gonna be? Ronnie Coates sends it up the inside. Can he get there? He got a good exit. Can he get there? Side by side down to the line as Ronnie Coates tries to take the lead away. It doesn't look like he's going to get there. Robert Hartley wins at Spa.
Oh, my
second,
goodness.
Ronnie Coates third, John Allen fourth, Mitchell Peak fifth, Michael Coates sixth, Joshua Soto seventh, Otis Adams Jr. eighth, Cameron Hibbett ninth. What a finish.
Unbelievable race. Totally missed everything going on. I'm sure there was some action back here somewhere, but what an unbelievable finish to this race. For what I thought may have started to be a breakaway for those top 3, turned into an absolute all-out brawl going into the final corner.
Absolutely incredible racing. They were side by side, probably from the chicane all the way down to the start-finish line, and it ends up being Robert Hartley getting the win by just under a tenth from Mike Dam. What a race. Once again from Spa, this track never ever ceases to amaze me as we're just waiting for some other cars to finish their laps. The last car to cross the line is going to be Josh Olson, who is currently heading through Pouhon right now. Just what a finish, what a race that we just witnessed. 45 minutes and it comes down to the final hairpin. That was just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, unbelievable race by all of those guys up front. And my man, Jerry DiPiero takes the open win. And I see that our Nightbot has decided to time out Lucas Finko in our chat for spamming emotes. I would assume he was probably spamming emotes for Jerry and the crazy race we just saw. Sorry, Lucas. I would have definitely let you throw those emotes in the chat, but our Nightbot thought against that. But with that being said, Josh Olson gets the back marker salute for the final time here. Still waiting on him to come around, about to come into the bus stop. And once he comes across the line, we'll get you guys the results.
Yeah, that was absolutely incredible as we're now just waiting for the final couple of cars to come across the line. And just what I'm absolutely speechless. That was absolutely incredible race from all involved. That was absolutely incredible to watch. This series never fails to disappoint. That was one of their best races. We've seen 3 wide finishes before from tracks like Sebring and Monza, but this race, I think, for races I've covered at least, has got to go up there in one of the best Spec-5 finishes. Everybody was just absolutely all over each other, trying to get whatever spots they could, and it ends up being Robert Hartley just barely at the line over Mike Dam. That should be every car across the line, so looks like Josh Olson having a little bit of fun after the checkered flag. So we'll see if we can bring up these results for you real fast. So Robert Hartley on top by just under a tenth from Mike Dam in second, Ronnie Coates in third, John Allen in fourth, Mitchell Peak in fifth, Michael Coates in sixth, Joshua Soto in seventh, Otis Adams Jr. in eighth, Cameron Hibbett in ninth, David Staub in 10th, Sean Hayes in 11th, Jerry DiPiero gets the open class win. Adam, I know you're very happy about that one for Jerry DiPiero there.
Let's go, Jerry!
There it is. He finally gets to say it in the chat after having to write it through the SDK thing there from the production truck. Lee Martin in 14th, Kenneth Staub in 15th, Jordy Fike in 16th, Sean Ruiz in 17th, Nicky Brovic in 18th, and then a little bit further behind them, Andrew Gilliland in 19th, still on the podium. Great job for that young driver. Ray Lombardi in 20th, Greg Mack in 21st, Charles Vaccaro in 22nd, Gareth Brocklesby in 23rd, Jose Gonzalez in 24th, and Andrew Kosick in 25th, Josh Olson in 26th, Ken Copeland in 27th, and Eugenia Felici, after an unfortunate incident early on, ends up P28, 10 laps down. And Adam, if he is in the VC, I believe you are on standby with our open class winner, or at least want to be on
I'm
standby with
not.
our open class
I'm
winner.
I'm
Oh,
going to be on standby with Otis Adams Jr., who we tried to get in here for an interview during the race, but Otis, you were having a crazy race, so we decided not to drag you in. Give us it from your view, your perspective, which was pretty interesting actually, sitting back there watching all this go down, huh?
Yeah, it was tough. I didn't practice much, and I didn't I didn't have great pace, so I was just trying to save fuel and stay out of messes, and until the pit stop, and then I just did the best I could, but wasn't catching the guys ahead, and just kind of settled for what I could get.
Well, I mean, it's kind of tough to catch the guys ahead with the draft train that was going on over there, man. So, I mean, kind of from your perspective, you know, maybe you had the pace, maybe you didn't, but when you get stuck in a draft train like this, it's kind of hard to make some moves, I would assume.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like in the start of the race, there was a few spots where you can make the move, but then you're just gonna make it too wide and slow yourselves down for nothing. So it's just trying to save fuel to try to shorten up the pit stop, and that got me a little bit of time back and got me kind of separated from some of the guys we were racing with. But yeah, it wasn't enough. I think everybody ahead of me was faster than me, so kind of happy where I ended up.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy with it too, to be honest with you, Otis. And I apologize again for not getting in here, for not getting you in here during the race. But I know you probably had quite a bit going on your plate at the time. We'll try to do it next time. But congratulations on your finish, and we hope to talk to you next time during the race.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, guys, for putting on the broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Talk to you soon.
See ya.
that was Otis Adams Jr., the winner of. I was about to say winner. I completely mistook myself. We were gonna try and get him in for a mid race interview. Just couldn't get to it. Just couldn't get there. Unfortunately, is he was busy racing with the best of the best in this series. But Adam, I'm not going to take this interview away with him. I know you want to talk to him, so drag Jerry DiPiero, the winner of the Open Class, in here for you, Adam.
I absolutely will. Let's go, Jerry!
What's up, my brother?
What's up, Jerry? Congratulations, man, on your Open Class win. I saw you bit touch and go there at the beginning of the race. Give it to me from your perspective with at Spa and the Miatas. It's probably a totally different track than it would be in, anything else.
Yeah, I know it's a fun track. The Miatas are good there. But I'm not too happy there, Adam, because I did take out the second place qualifier for Open. And when up a Rouge, everybody was slowing down because I guess they weren't in the draft, and I was coming from behind in the draft, and I bumped them and I spun them out. So I'm not too happy about the win, but win is a win. So
yeah, we kind of we didn't really know what happened. Tried to find your onboard, and I couldn't do it in time. But you're coming over Eau Rouge, lap one. I just probably don't expect drivers to slow down. You probably can't see over the top of Eau Rouge until you get there, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I have a steam. I'm coming up fast, so and I tried to get out of the way, but it didn't work.
Well, the rest of your race, though, I mean, after your lap one incident, what was the thought process? I mean, you had started to gap. Andrew Gilliland was the next Open Class driver, finished 19th. You finished 12th overall. So, at that point, it was probably just conservation mode, I would assume.
Well, I did have a little help from Lee and Brian. They kind of pushed me along. So it was like the three of us were kind of just doing our thing, and so we were drafting a lot. So that probably kept us up front.
Well, it absolutely did. So going here into the schedule, we're looking at the next race for Spec-5. Going to be a Monza combined. So
I can't wait for that race.
We've had a little bit of practice in that, in the radicals at least, Jerry. So, but we're also not running the chicanes there in XSLR in the radicals. So you're looking forward to that race. It's going to be another draft train, I would assume.
I think I'm going to need a lot of practice.
I think I'm going to need some practice commentating that one, buddy. But all right, Jerry. Well,
I'm
ahead,
set
Alex.
for that. I'm set for that one. That's one of my favorite track layouts of all time, especially the no chicanes layout. That's just absolutely insane. It's literally plate racing on a road course.
So you think there's going to be incidents? Is that what you're thinking?
Probably. I don't think there's gonna be like Talladega level big ones, but there's definitely gonna be some big wrecks going on.
Oh boy, not looking forward for that one.
Oh, no. Well, I know you're not, but we are, Jerry.
Yeah, I know.
But anyways, thank you so much for hopping in here in the interview waiting booth. Hope you had a great Christmas, my friend, and a great vacation, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you. And thank you guys for Slow Motion Broadcasting. Always doing a good job.
All right. Thanks, Jerry.
And that was Jerry DiPiero, the winner of the Open class here tonight from Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. And now I'm going to drag in the overall winner tonight just by a nose at the line. Robert Hartley, how was that out there?
Oh, that was a ton of fun. That was an exciting race.
It sure looked like it from up here. That was just an absolutely incredible race to watch, and it looked like that much behind the wheel. And one thing I do want to mention is that this, at least for as long as I've been covering this series, this is the first time I've ever seen the Spec-5 World Tour run a night race. So pretty much two questions in one. Is that your first time running a night race in this series? And how was it behind the wheel? How different was it compared to running normal Spa?
Yeah, definitely my first time in this series, but I've been on this track before at night. Definitely took a good 10 laps to find your marks and get used to it tonight. I was a little slow there at the beginning of practice. Qualified in the top 5, I think, so started to pick it up, but I was pretty good there at the end of the race when it counted.
Yeah, you were very good at the end of the race when it counted. And one thing that I do want to mention is how I actually want to ask, were you up, if my memory doesn't serve me very well, were you up in, say, the top 4 when there was a bit of a breakaway after the pit stops?
No, I was in that second little pack there, and I got to the lead of that second pack, and I think Mitchell might have had a tiny mistake, and it gave me a gap to them guys, and I was still in the draft of the guy ahead of me, and it just pulled me right up to them guys. So that's how I got in the top pack. But yeah.
Yeah, so that must have been a very tough race from you. You go from 5th, just trailing the top, or excuse me, I believe 4th, trailing the top 3 cars, and all of a sudden you're having to block them into the chicane on the final lap. What was it like trying to hold 8 Angry Miatas back from the brink of victory?
Oh man, that was a tough finish. Coming through the last lap there to the white flag, the seas kind of parted after a rouge, and I went right through the middle. And lucky to have Mike Dam, as my teammate, pushing me up them last straightaways there. And I was also giving him the draft so he could try to finish second. But without him, I probably wouldn't have won that one.
Yeah, it was a very entertaining race from up here in the booth. Looked like a lot of fun down there behind the wheel. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
I'd just like to thank everybody that puts this together. This is an excellent group of guys here, and everyone that runs in this league is so clean. I don't think we rubbed fenders all night. We were side by side and nose to tail all night. So yeah, it was an excellent run, and thanks to everybody who participates.
All right, well, congrats on the P1, Rob, and hopefully we will see you back up here next week from Monza combined. You guys still will be using the chicanes, but it'll be the Grand Prix layout, but you'll be adding the oval into it. How are you looking forward to that race?
That's going to be an exciting one. That's definitely going to be a big draft track. And last time I did that, we all crashed coming out of the oval. So hopefully we can do better this time.
It's a really awkward bump coming out of the doing the right hand oval. It's a really awkward bump right there as it lifts you back on the Grand Prix circuit,
especially when you're 3-4 wide.
Yeah, definitely. So going to be a very exciting race from there. But I'll let you go. Congrats on the win. Hopefully we'll see you back up here from Monza.
All right, guys. Thanks.
That was Robert Hartley, your overall here tonight. And Adam, just what a race tonight from Spa.
Yeah, I am so glad I got to commentate this one. Honestly, it's not very often I get to sit in the comms booth anymore, but thank you, Randall, for doing whatever you're doing tonight and allowing me to hop up here in the comms booth with Alex. It's been just absolutely unbelievable race, and every time I commentate or produce any of these races, it just reminds me why Slow Motion Broadcasting decided to sponsor the Spec-5 World Tour. Just unbelievable people, great guys, great racing, just all around unbelievable race.
Yeah, definitely. And before we round off the stream, we've got some upcoming broadcasts for you. So the next one is Sunday, January 22nd at 8:10 p.m. EST. The Radical SR8s of the Cross Series League Racing Championship return from the Charlotte Motor Speedway Oval. That's going to be a very interesting race. It's going to be kind of like what we saw here tonight. It's going to be a draft train. It's going to be a pack race from the 1.5 mile oval of Charlotte Motor Speedway. So going to be an interesting race. And then this Tuesday, January 24th at 9:10 p.m. EST, the American Muscle Series returns after a bit of a hiatus there with using their Ford Mustang FR500Ss from the circuit. Zolder, going to be an interesting race from them. And then 1 week from now, me, Adam, and hopefully Randall will be back up here on Thursday, January 26th at 9:15 p.m. EST with the Mazda MX-5 Miatas of the Spec-5 World Tour from Monza combined, which probably might be the race I'm looking forward to the most on the calendar for this series. So going to be a very exciting one. But for now, till next time, my name is Alex Andersen. I've been joined in the commentary booth by Adam Thompson, and give a round of applause to him. He did double duty tonight up in the commentary booth and working the cameras and the overlays and all that. So give him a round of applause. But from round two of the Spec-5 World Tour from Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. We'll see you later and have a good night.
Well, I'm going to make you reread all of that here in just 1 second, Alex, because we have forgotten our sponsor, Slow Motion Broadcasting.
Oh God.
Slow Motion Broadcasting.
It's the company I work for, and I forgot about it.
Slow Motion Broadcasting came to fruition by two iRacing league owners who found themselves wanting to provide a professional quality broadcast at a price that is approachable to any and all league owners. Big or small, SMB will work with your league to ensure all of your league's broadcasting needs are satisfied. Please check us out at www.slowmotionbroadcasting.com. Again, www.slowmotionbroadcasting.com. And before I hand it over to you, Alex, to do the outro one more time, Jason Bossy is asking if Matt Malone is still running in American Muscle Series. And Jason, I can give you a big fat 100% yes, he is.
All right, well, I'll be looking forward to watching that series. Unfortunately, I have a league that I will have to do on those days, so I won't be able to cover it. But I will be looking forward to rewatching those streams. The American Muscle Series always puts on some exciting races. So part 2, and hopefully for the last time this time, my name is Alex Andersen. I've been joined in the commentary booth by Adam Thompson, and he was also in our virtual production truck. So round of applause to him for performing double duty. But that's going to do it for us from round 2 of the Spec-5 World Tour from Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Have a good night.
Clear. All right, I gotta piss so bad, dude. You're good. I gotta go to the bathroom. Oh.